Okay, Chapter 10, Men of the Mississippi. This will be the halfway point because there are 20 chapters. So it's kind of exciting. This one is called A Country of Builders. The little map down here shows when Hernando de Soto discovered the Mississippi. He was the first Spaniard to do that, and some of the maps of his early discoveries in the South, and that the Mississippi went far north, Missouri, and the Ohio. Minn was 12 when she fled Lake Pippin's bumps and churns. But two more big dams made her feel much older. North of Winona, she got her cares wintering in mud. Soon again came spring. Walking upriver, towboat trails spread wide and washed men out of bed. Floods raced, flipping her like so much foam and flopping her over another dam without her realizing it. Floods tumbled along the dappling miles. Towns drifted to Minn. Still sleepy, dazed, and stiff in the cold floodwaters, she scarcely could see the strange clusters of buildings barging into her vision. Towns sat on old steamboat landings in prim dignity, or drew back frayed skirts from the old-fashioned waterways to stare at railroads, or strode up the bluffs to watch shiny cars whoosh by on a highway. Between towns, bare woodlands scrawled on the sky gray pencil scribblings. Meadows were smeared green crayons, plowed fields were brown chalk rows, orchards were white spattering bloom. How could men know that those woods and fields formed farms, school districts, townships, counties, and states with boundaries and names? Men didn't know anything about that had name. All these names have meanings. Some are Indian words, as they should be. For centuries, Indians traveled the river, fished it, farmed it, its banks, and left their names upon it. Then strange words came from France and Spain and England and Scotch and Irish and German and Scandinavian, but the first strange words of the upper river were French. French names still cling to the river banks like beads on worn old buckskin. Strampalot, Lacrosse, Près de Chine. Such names might not be all read to Minn, but she could see beads, and below Près de Chine, bottom walking in the mouth of the Wisconsin River, her aimless claws uncovered two tiny glass lumps in the silt. Curving her neck, she stared solemnly down. No, that red eye and that white one belonged to no living creature. They meant nothing. They meant nothing except that they'd come as gifts for possible warlike Indians and were lost from a canoe gliding to shore. And from this place, white men had first gazed at the majesty of the upper Mississippi. Marquette and Joliet discovered the upper Mississippi. They were French traders and pastors. The first people from Europe to see the lower Mississippi River had been Spanish soldiers. De Soto's armies had landed in Florida, looping northward and west, and armored scaled dragons snorting thunder and fire, seeking gold. De Soto found none, but he crossed the lower river, died, and was buried in it. He was weary, wounded, returning army told Europe about the huge Mississippi. Yet for 132 years it was only a memory. No white man saw De Soto's discovery till the Frenchmen found it again. The French settlers of Canada had long known the Great Lakes, but what lay to the west of them? The heads of the French government sued two men to find out. One, Père, Father Marquette, was an unselfish Jesuit missionary. The other, Louis Joliet, was an expert in wilderness travel. At Green Bay on Lake Michigan, Indians warned Joliet and Marquette that westward lay danger and dangerous tribes. Yet in 1673 they left Green Bay, pushing west up the Fox River, west down the Wisconsin, and one day, June came, they saw a great river before them rolling south. The two canoes of the party went ashore. White men first stared at the vast upper Mississippi. The river carried their dancing canoes far southward, yet they did not reach the Gulf of Mexico. At the Arkansas River, a little beyond where De Soto had crossed a century and a quarter before, they started back upstream. Working hard as they paddled, they returned to the Illinois River, up that to the Des Plaines, the shore at Chicago, and into Lake Michigan. Coasting northward up the west shore, they returned to Green Bay. Joliet and Marquette had made many Indian friends. Their canoes had traced the outline of an ancient flint point, a point of discovery showing one way the French fur trade would later follow. Men had nothing to do with Joliet or Marquette. And then here is La Salle's travels, where Louisiana was all land drained by the Mississippi River. Minn had nothing to do with Jolette Marquette nor LaSalle, who 9 years later after them canoed clear to the Gulf and claimed the entire river for France. Minn thought while only for laying eggs. Each year she had hidden her eggs in forest mold, meadow soiled, or sandbar. Now passing a soft-celled turtle whose carpets faintly waved in the current, she made straight for the middle of the town. This looks a lot like the area around Cahokia, Illinois, where the Cahokia mound builders near St. Louis are. Minn dug her nest on a riverbank among neatly made, shed-sized hills with trees growing on them. A busy, prosperous town had stood here, but not even early Frenchmen had seen its bark buildings. All town dwellings had fallen to dust before the white men came, leaving only the hills to tell the ghostly mound builders. Tribes of these ancient Indians built thousands of hill mounds across America, especially up the Mississippi and its tributaries. Some mounds are still gigantic monuments heaped over honored dead. Steep pyramids, once topped by long-timbered temples, look down on terraces where chiefs once lived. Fort walls wander through woodlands, humped in ridges under the sod like workings of giant moles. Long, wide creatures built on rounded earth sprawled patiently across pastures. They are reptiles grown over with weeds, grass-furred beasts, brush-feathered birds stretching earthen wings, waiting for magic of altar smoke to give them life. How are those mounds in America made? By babies lifting fistfuls of hand, by boys and girls and men and women digging with clamshells and deer-bone shovels. After the fishing, the hunting, and the cornfield duties, endless rows of people with baskets trudged uphill, carrying gifts of soil to a hungry, growing mound. The day would come when strange, pale-faced farmers would build white houses on some mounds and bright red barns. Other sacred mounds would be leveled to make ways for town. I just learned that there were actually a bunch of mounds in St. Louis that got torn down that way. They were right across from the ones that are still there in Cahokia. I just learned that not too recently. The ancient mound builders, gone for centuries, might not be real to Minn, but now they caused her no end of trouble. In hastily digging her nest, she came to many hard lumps. She clawed up obsidian arrowhead, bits of clay pottery, a carved stone pipe, and finally, after several heaves, she kicked up an axe head of solid copper. For such treasure, any museum collector might have given Minn a private pool of fresh meat for a lifetime, unlimited rest and quiet. Minn was interested only in digging her nest in a hurry, and at least 30 dozen eggs were packed in a mixture of soil and some 200 pearl beads. Kicking dirt over everything, Minn waddled back to the water. In her own way, she had dug and built her own mound. Next time you guys come down, we'll have to see about going down to Cahokia and seeing the mounds. They're kind of fun.